Hey. So typically we've been doing quite a bit of breath work, what I like to call brain breaks, to get our breath moving through our body and to relax our brain a little bit. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about science. Y'all, if you know anything about me, I love my research, I love my dogs, and a few other things. So research is important to me because it talks about, especially trauma-based research, how does it affect us and how can we heal from it. My dogs, we have two of them. They are sisters. They're about 2.5. They are Lab and German Shepherd mix. And so I'm going to combine those two to talk about my dogs and science. So in the trauma world, Dr. Stephen Porges is a well-known person. He added in an extra layer essentially to our nervous systems in 1994 through what's called the Polyvagal Theory. Y'all, 1994 was not that long ago. I know it might feel that way, but it's not. Dr. Stephen Porges was not a therapist. He was not in the mental health world. He was some kind of like scientist or something, and it was all about how do we conserve energy. And so we have things that happen automatically in our nervous system, right? The autonomic nervous system. Then we have the parasympathetic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. In his theory, Dr. Porges' theory, added on the SOS, social operating system or social engagement system. I know for some of y'all, you're like, whoa, that's too much. And for others, you're like, well, I've heard that a million times. So here's where the dogs come in, right? I'm thinking about the 3 different states of my dogs. I've walked into my dogs plenty of times and seen them just like laying on the couch, right, limp as can be, fully relaxed. We call it the zombie pose when they're on their backs, just paws in the air, dangling over, really just resting, just total relaxation. They help me to get into this state as well. So the PNS, parasympathetic nervous system, is all about rest, digest, repair. This is important, y'all. Like, we can't just keep going and going and going all the time. At some point, we have to shift into that parasympathetic nervous system. My dogs help me do that whenever we're cuddling on the couch. Sometimes they'll knock my computer off. Right, so parasympathetic nervous system, we want to rest. We need to rest in order to heal. Most things we let rest, right? When we get done baking something, we let it rest. When we get done cooking something, we let it rest. When our phones die, we charge it, right? That's kind of like a rest. It's rejuvenating things. And so this is a passive system of defense. It's where we rest, digest, repair, and start to heal. And as important as that is, we can't always be there, right? Because sometimes we face danger in the world. And so whether or not we face danger or whether or not it's a perceived threat, then we have to respond. So that's where we get into our SNS, our sympathetic nervous system. So this is that fight, flight, freeze kind of thing. My favorite yoga fit instructor also adds in the bite piece of it, which comes in a lot of that teeth grinding stuff. So this is right where we start to get some movement in. We start to have that ability to protect ourselves, to defend. Think of like mama bears, right? We're going to stick with my dog. So if the doorbell goes off because my mailman is here, my dog will very quickly go from full-on zombie pose to whipping around, running to the window, barking like crazy to alert that there's a danger at the door, right? There's a perceived threat to them at the door. It's just my mailman. Y'all, it's not a real threat. The dogs don't know that, right? To them, it is a threat. Somebody they don't know is coming into their territory. And so they go from parasympathetic, super relaxed, to sympathetic, right? They are ready to fight it off. And so some people here fight, right? So we have Ella, who is a barker. She will bark like crazy. And then we have Phoebe, who will just kind of freeze. So she'll get up and she's alert, but she's not going, right? And so this is a lot of times where dissociation comes in, right? So in our bodies, it might be easier It's easier to run than it is to fight, right? It takes less energy. And it might even be easier to freeze completely instead of fighting or flighting. So that's where those different types of reactions come in, and how do we protect ourselves when there is a threat or a perceived threat. And of course, as someone who's experienced trauma, your level of awareness to perceived threats are going to be much different than someone who's never experienced trauma. And especially with this pandemic now, right? Everybody's experienced trauma. You're just that much more on edge, right? You're ready to fight. And this is important, right? There are certain times where we need to protect ourselves, where we need those, I know it's corny, we need our spidey senses to protect ourselves. Sometimes this is helpful, but it's not helpful to be in there all the time. Just like we can't rest all the time, we can't fight all the time. We can't freeze all the time. We definitely can't run all the time, right? So those are kind of opposites, right? So from full relaxation to full on like ready to brawl mode. So then this is where the work of Dr. Stephen Porges comes in, is that social engagement system or social operating system. This is humans, right? This is what we need. This is, right, when my dog needs to go to the bathroom, she'll come and lick my face. She'll connect with me, and then we'll let her out, right? Or she'll ring the bell. Both of those are very true. We have a bell for our dogs on our door. She'll ring the bell, right? Connecting, attuning. It's really how we communicate with people. It's how we attach to other people, right? As humans, we express our needs, and we hope that we have a caregiver to meet those needs, right? My dogs have a need to go outside, to go to the bathroom, to eat. They can't do those things themselves right now, right? Because they're domesticated. And so they need me as their caregiver to get the food off the counter. They need me as their caregiver to open the door. So this is relationship. This is healing. This is that blend of always relaxed, always on edge, right? This is important because you have to be in parasympathetic nervous system state in order to safely connect with people, right? If you're sitting somewhere and you're not feeling safe, you're feeling threatened, and you're in sympathetic nervous system, you can't connect. So you have to be in parasympathetic first, right? You have to be safe or feel safe in order to connect with people. And so this needs to be turned on, right? This needs to be part of our daily life. Think of it as just a place of connection, right? Of where we do our best, where we are in tune with people and in tune with others. And so we have to know how, right, to get through all three of those things, because they all have different benefits. They all have different pros and cons. And so we want every day to spend a little bit of time with our parasympathetic nervous system. Y'all, this doesn't happen naturally. It's a lot of hard work, especially if you're high strung with anxiety or trauma. So you can get there through things like yoga, through things like breathing, exercise, petting your pets, right, cuddling on your babies, things like that. We want to get into that parasympathetic nervous system, and we want to definitely get into that social engagement system. Connection is important, rest is important, and especially now when there is so much chaos going on in our world, right? It's not just our little world, it's globally that there's chaos, right? We need to teach ourselves to get back into this parasympathetic nervous system state, the state of rest and relaxation and repair. I know personally I can use dissociation quite a bit with relaxation, like I'm feeling great, yeah, I'm rested, I'm relaxed, but it's not. So you have to be just an observer of that, right? Am I feeling okay because I'm numbing everything down and I'm just so exhausted I'm dissociated, or am I feeling okay because I've spent enough time within my parasympathetic nervous system that I've had time for my body and my mind to rest and heal? So hopefully dog, I expected this to be like 3 minutes. It's 10 minutes. Hopefully that narrows it down between the three states of our nervous system, right? The dog's completely resting, the dog's completely on guard at the mailman, and the dog's playing and connecting with their humans is the easiest way to talk about our three systems. So if you have any questions, feel free to research Dr. Stephen Porges or reach out to me. Thanks.